Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Ari. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about the Law of One. Starting this series, I'm extremely excited about this series. I read the Law of One books last summer, and there was some of the most life-changing information. And in the first episode of this series, I'm going to be talking about Ra. So, what exactly is the Law of One, first of all? So, the Law of One is a channeled series of basically text which involved 106 channeling sessions between Don Elkins, who was a professor of physics and a UFO investigator, and Ra, who was speaking through Carla Rueckert. And if you're interested in reading this material yourself, which I would highly recommend, it is available for free at lawofone.info. You can read this all for free online, or if you prefer reading physical copies like I do, there are 5 books. I've only read the first 4. It's a lot, but these books are extremely interesting, very insightful, and they're really important, at least for me, on my spiritual journey, and I know that they've impacted a lot of people positively, so that's why I'm trying to spread this message and try to help, because I know a lot of people are interested in this stuff, and I didn't used to believe in channeled works. I used to be skeptical until reading this material, but the information shared by Ra through Carla is completely beyond the intelligence of any human being, but also any single group of human beings, which really opened up my mind to thinking about, wow, this whole channel thing could be real. So let's get to it. Who exactly is Ra? Who is the quote-unquote humble messenger who shared the information that makes up this crazy set of books? In describing its identity and purpose, Ra says, quote-unquote, I am Ra. We communicate now. We are those who are of the Law of One. In our vibration, the polarities are harmonized. The complexities are simplified. The paradoxes have a solution. We are one. That is our nature and our purpose. And that quote is from the Law of One, Book 1, page 65. I know a lot of this probably won't make much sense if I'm going one quote at a time, but you will have a better understanding of this information the more you come into contact with it, the more that you study it. And this is my second time around going with this stuff. The first time I really just read it to get a sense of what it was like, and now I want to go deep into it, and I'm just trying to set the stage of the enormity of the information that's in this book just by introducing its humble author, because it is important that the author of any book has credibility. Why should we be listening to Ra? Is Ra even real? Is this all just made up? Well, the credibility, quote-unquote credibility of Ra can definitely be debated by skeptics. Some of the claims they make are absolutely outrageous, and thinking about alien or extraterrestrial species actually communicating with us, some people will never believe that, no matter how much evidence you give them, because these people will want to see, videos and things like that, and that's not going to happen. But there's surprisingly some evidence that backs a lot of their outrageous claims up. One thing is that Ra claims that it is a 6-density social memory complex that evolved on the planet Venus about 2.6 billion years ago. I know this sounds ridiculous, it sounds like the plot of an outrageous science fiction novel, but life seems to be more absurd than we can ever imagine as we learn more about the world around us every single day. We know 0.000000001% of everything there is to know. That's probably overestimating it. And recently, scientists have discovered that around the time that Ross stated, the conditions on Venus could have actually been hospitable for life to grow and evolve. While we'll never be able to know if this is actually true, we'll never be able to go to Venus 2.6 billion years ago and confirm this for ourselves. This seems like more than just a coincidence if you believe in those things. And the term 6-density social memory complex may also confuse you if you're new to this material. And it definitely confused me as I started reading the book. I don't want to get too in-depth on the densities of consciousness in this video that they talk about in this podcast, but according to Ra, there are 7 densities of consciousness in this universe, which is a model that describes the evolution of consciousness. And humans are at the 3rd density of consciousness. The first density are the minerals, the rocks, fire, air, earth, water. 2nd density, animals, plants. 3rd density, humans. That's the density of self-consciousness and perceived separation. And since we don't know what happens after this lifetime, I would take Ra's word for it, or I take it for it, that consciousness evolved to the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th densities of consciousness, where we have the ability to form quote-unquote social memory complexes, which is what Ra claims to be, where societies join as a sort of library of information where the experiences and thoughts of all are shared by all. There are no secrets, there's nothing to hide, everything is shared freely, and that's why they are so intelligent. Maybe. I know, this all sounds very absurd, it all sounds like very science fiction-like, but it really only gets crazier and more absurd the more you read. That's not even 0.01% of how crazy this gets. Ra says that it/they, because they're one, but they're also a bunch of beings in one. They says that they are humble messengers of Law of One, and that they previously visited Egypt around 11,000 years ago to teach this message, to teach the Law of One to the people inhabiting Egypt at that time, but their message eventually got distorted when they left, leading to basically a misuse of power and great destruction. And they felt bad for this, so they wanted to come back and basically teach it again through a way that their message wouldn't get distorted as much. And we know that the Egyptians believed in many gods, and Ra happened to be their sun god. Seems like an interesting coincidence. If you believe in coincidences again, I don't. But Ra claims that they feel like they owe it to Earthlings to share and spread their message of unity through a group who are less likely to distort their message, like I said, which is where this group of Don Elkins, Jim McCarthy, and Carla Rueckert come into play. And this material is basically just a back and forth conversation between Don, who's the questioner, and Ra, who's speaking through Carla. If you've never heard about channeled informations, she's basically in a type of meditative state where she's channeling this entity. So you can question the source of it, but even if you don't believe in this whole Ra thing and this whole extraterrestrials, just take a second to read some of this information and see if it seems ridiculous. See if it seems like it makes sense. And I would highly recommend, if you're interested in this and haven't read it, to check out this material for yourself. I'm going to put the link of the Law of One website down below. Click it if you feel like taking a look. If you don't feel like investing the money to get physical books and just want to try it out for free by reading it, see what resonates with you and see what doesn't. This book blew my mind wide open, and I think it might do the same for you. And some of the information shared in these books is truly mind-rattling. These books are definitely not for everybody. That is a warning. You will probably get rattled by a lot of the information. But it's not scary, like rattled scary. It's just that it's infinite. It's all love. Life is infinite love. We are all infinite. All right. Not going to get it. But you don't have to believe in anything. Don't believe in anything that I'm saying. I just recommend that you go into it with an open mind. See how you can apply a lot of this useful information shared in these books to help you on your own spiritual journey. Because this information truly has transformed my life over the past year, how I've applied it. And that's why I'm starting this Law of One series, that I'm going to take a deeper dive into it so I can then start to reapply this, because I think I've forgotten a good amount of this stuff, but also see if I can learn lessons that I can help share with other people. So yes, that's the first episode in this Law of One series, Who is Ra? And we are going to be hearing a lot more from Ra.